Aldi is great for smaller, let's say smaller events. If you only
Hmm.
have to buy a certain amount and you can't store it in your fridge at home and you maybe need to prep on site, which is what I encourage people to do, that if you can't do that, then you go to Aldi and you buy their smaller packages. Don't go buy a big old package that you can't use. So,
Hmm. Welcome to the Charcuterie and Cottage Biz podcast. Ready to turn your boards, bakes, and bites into real profits? Then you're in the right place. We're your hosts and real life sisters, Chef Andrea and digital marketer Patty. We're excited to dish out fast, actionable tips and advice to help you price smarter, market bigger, and grow your food business online. From passion to profits, your recipe for success begins right here. Now let's start the show. Hey, 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 hey! It's the Charcuterie and Cottage Biz Sisters. We're back after Andrew's long week vacation. Where were you at, you witch? I'm so
I
jealous.
know I went to San Diego with my kids and my grandchild, one of my children, her husband and my grandson, and rented a condo on the beach, which was the first time I've rented condos there
Boo.
before, but man, Mission Beach, right on Mission Beach, and it was just I was kicking myself, like, why didn't I ever do this before? It's six
Yeah.
hours, 7 hours to drive over there, and we just got really lucky. We didn't get hit with those storms. We
That are
left the
coming in
day
this
that they
weekend.
arrived, and it kept saying it was going to rain all week, and then it never did, and it kept pushing back. The storm slowed down. With that said, it was just beautiful. Absolutely.
Lovely.
San Diego, for those that don't know, and Mission Beach, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
I don't care what you feel about California. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I
Can't get
know
enough.
that's the sad part because where the weather's beautiful most of the year, it's just crowded and stuff. But
But it wasn't. So
whatever. It
that
wasn't.
I don't want to tell people that it's not crowded in the first week of November, because I'm going to just go every year in the first week in November. There was nobody there and the weather was
Yeah.
gorgeous. So anyway,
Nice, you're lucky. Well, while you were there, I was over here slaving over
yeah,
hot charcuterie boards. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't.
hot
It wasn't hot.
hot
Actually,
mess. No,
I
just
was
kidding.
lucky. Well, and so we haven't seen each other or talked to really each other in over a week and a half, and we just jumped on here just now, and I said I'm not even going to tell you anything about how the event is because I'm going to tell you now how
Yeah.
the event went. And I promised that I was going to break down how it all went and how much time I spent and how many people I was serving and all of the down and dirty. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go through when you get a contract for a private event with the cart, which is what I did. I had my charcuterie cart over there, and that was great. So let me just tell you a little bit about the event. Originally, I was hired by it was a professor at Arizona State University, and it's through a friend of mine actually that hooked me up with them. In the past, I just known them for a while. Anyway, long story short, he's having a fundraiser at a art gallery down in Scottsdale. I say down because it's south of where I'm at in Scottsdale. If you've been to Scottsdale, it's a pretty big city. So anyway, he tells me originally they're going to have 100 people there. So I give him a quote for 100 people. And, I basically gave him a deal. I would have done $25 a head, but because he was somebody that I knew and it was also a nonprofit organization, I told him 22 bucks per head. And I also charged him for a setup time and stuff. So I think the total amount that I'll just tell you honestly, I charged 23.50. We got half down a month or so ago, and they paid the other half for the 26th, which was when it was due. I was actually traveling at the time. They paid the second half. I did not, I have a contract, but I did not ask them to pay until we were 2 weeks out. So it was about 2 weeks out. So, no, actually, was it 2 weeks? Yeah, it was about 2 weeks out. So that I could go shopping and all that stuff. So he gives me a head count, though, when I get back, it was like the first week in November. Now, the event was on the 9th. So I get back and he gives me a head count. He goes, well, I think we're going to be more like 57 people. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't say anything because I mean, they'd already paid me, right? So my question to you, because I think this is important to know, what do you do in that kind of event? Do you feel like after they already paid me, and my contract said within 14 days, everything's non-refundable. Now he tells me on, it had to have been the 28th, maybe. So we were within 2 weeks for sure that the head count was going to be small. Now he didn't say at the time, give me a refund or anything, but I was kind of thinking they're going to hit me up. I have a feeling, because
Mhm.
they already paid me
Mhm.
for 100 people.
Right.
So I said to you, what do you do? Because if he's coming back to me and saying to give him a refund, I mean, because this is relatively new, this kind of catering type thing for me.
Right.
But I did have it in the contract. So, they didn't
If
really
it's,
ask, but I was like, at the time, I was thinking they were going to ask me. So I was kind of
and
worried
I
about
see
it.
a lot of people asking these types of questions when they get on our Facebook group and then other
Yeah.
groups that we belong to. And the thing is, if you wrote a contract, you wrote a
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah. And they
So,
signed it.
and he
Yeah.
prepaid and he let you know less than 14 days before, the event. Obviously, it's up to you, the individual. It's up to you at the end of the day. If you're
Yeah.
comfortable saying, I haven't done my shopping and, whatever, but
Yeah.
sometimes you're so busy. Um, making trays and doing this and doing that, that you're just not in a position to give people money back. Like you
Yeah.
paid for 25, 50 people or a small or a large tray or whatever, then that's what you're getting. Now
Yeah.
granted, the increase is another story because sometimes things will increase.
Yeah.
And in that case, you're doing the scrambling around at the last minute. So with that said, the contract should say something along the lines, if you do an increase, you're going to get charged for it. Or otherwise, you just get what you get and you be happy you get it. I mean, especially this time of year between Thanksgiving and all the holidays and things, you just
Yeah.
can't mess. It's really tough. It's really tough. So what I used to do when I did regular catering. I do catering, guys, but I do it only by people that I know. I don't do it like full time anymore, but I am giving you all my professional advice. You stick with
Hmm.
the contract. Stick
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah.
And it's up to you if you want to change it and give money back or whatever it is that's
Yeah.
going on. But otherwise you're on the contract is the contract is the contract.
Right.
And
Well, I appreciated your advice because at the time I was kind of like, is he going to come back to me the way he let me know? And well, what happened was too, a couple days before I got a call from one of his staff members and they had left me a message and also said they had emailed me with the head count and they said there was going to be 57 people or something there and I was getting the feeling from the message that they wanted me to call back and talk about the contract.
mhm,
Anyway, I did not do that. I just, because this was only a couple days before now at this point. And I had gone shopping at this point. Now, I will also say this because some of the stuff that you consider, I'm using stuff from previous events, like, the trays, some of
yeah,
the
yeah,
condiments, some of the stuff that we were still, that we
mhm,
still had, right? Napkins and the stuff you schlepped down here for me. So I felt like, we already had an investment in this and I had blocked my time to be there anyway. So I was worried about it, but in the end, they didn't say anything about it. And I thought they would. The only thing that they did say the very next day, and this kind of, it was interesting because he came to me, he was the last person, the guy that was the professor that was running this. Really nice guy, amazingly nice guy. But he came at the end. He goes, I haven't eaten. And I go, oh, well, let's load you up. So I'm loading him up, loading him up. Now I had also made cupcakes, and I'll tell you all about it. Because what I'm going to do here in a minute is show you all the pictures and to walk you through what this cart consisted of, because I think it's this way you'll know. So my plan was to make enough for 100 people. And I shouldn't say that. I made enough so that everyone could possibly come back for
second.
a second visit, right?
Mhm.
Are you tired of guessing what to charge for your boards? Are you spending hours shopping and prepping only to wonder, did I even make money on this order? Hey, it's Grazing Biz Sister Patty here, and I get it. Pricing your charcuterie boards, tables, cups, and carts shouldn't feel like throwing spaghetti against the wall. That's why sister Chef Andrea and I wrote Charcuterie Profit Secrets, the book that shows you exactly what to charge, what to buy, and how to finally run a profitable charcuterie business without burning out. No matter how long you've been in business, you'll learn our pricing secrets on how to buy smart, price confidently, and reduce waste while making real profits in your charcuterie business. Grab your copy at grazingbiz.com/profit secrets and turn your passion into a real paycheck. So I figured I'd have 100 there. If they were telling me there was going to be 50, I thought, okay, I'm just going to make sure I have enough so that everyone could come back for seconds, right? And the plan is they were anybody who came up was going to get everything on the cart unless they told me otherwise. So I would say a good 75% of the people that came up did get everything. And I'll show you how we set this up. I say we, I actually put it all together, but I got lucky because my son and his wife, my son who's also a chef, and his wife, they actually work for a catering company now, came to help me out, which was so nice. And so I owe them Thanksgiving dinner or something. But anyway, so they came over to help out. But I just wanted to be sure everybody knew that I was going to have enough, for everybody. So that's how I planned it out. And for the most part, I made skewers for the heavy parts of it, and then I had some loose stuff. So for those of you who are listening on the podcast and not watching, you may want to go and watch this over in YouTube because I'm going to share my screen right now and show you the images. I'm going to show you what I made. And so then I'm going to kind of walk you through everything I did. I had put a post in case you guys aren't in our group, we have a group that is on Facebook that's called Charcuterie and Cottage Biz Success. So if you had not been in there, I had told everybody I'm going to list out everything. So I am going to give you guys all this list of everything that is on this, cart. Basically, just figure 100 pieces and however many, you want to make if you want to use this. But it came in very handy because what I did, and let me just go ahead and share my screen. What I decided to do was to go ahead and make skewers of the heavy stuff, and that way they were pre-made that way, and I didn't have to go in and go, oh, I'm just gonna roll up all the stuff and then have to
Yeah, it
go
speeds
pick
it
it.
up.
Yeah, it sped it up amazingly because
Hmm.
when Haley came over, I just said, "Hey, we're just going to give them." And she helped me serve, and Derek was schlepping in the back. But I just told her, just give everybody one of each, and then we just did handfuls of the loose stuff. So let me share here and let's see, zoom, share. So if you want to head over to YouTube. You can watch this. Otherwise, I'll just going to explain it. So basically, you can see here that I had the menu was for 50 to 75 attendees. The plan was to make 100 skewers of each of these skewers. So I'm going to show you what they are. Then everybody got one of everything, and you can see the picture here of the actual boat. And so the boat had loose vegetables in it, and I'll go through what those are here in a minute. The crudités, as Vandra calls them. Some fruit. I did have some grapes. I had some carrots and celery, and what else did I have? Some blueberries. So those were kind of loosely thrown in there. Some nuts, some dried apricots, but then the skewers. And then I drizzled, if they wanted it, I drizzled balsamic over it, and they had a choice to take the balsamic and or honey if they wanted. We had honey packets. I had crackers that were just water crackers. I also had crostinis that I made. I actually bought the bread at Walmart and just sliced it up. So I'm going to walk through how much that, cost, which was actually very inexpensive to do. And then the skewers that I have. So you can see them here in the picture, and they are in those boats that we had bought at our last event because we were going to keep using them. The brown paper. How big were these boats again? They were about,
Four
oh,
by
I don't know,
five, something like that.
4 by 5-ish.
I
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
probably
Yeah,
it. Maybe
four
they're a
by
little bigger,
five.
6. Yeah, something like that.
Mhm.
I also threw down a piece of parchment square that we had, so that just looked didn't just like it wasn't going to soak through, but I just thought it looked kind of nice. So anyway, so you can see when they came up that that's what the plan was. And we had a sample sitting on the and we were inside, by the way, so thank goodness we were inside because it ended up being an 88-degree day. It's just never going to end here. It's just not going to end. It was 88 degrees as we were schlepping everything in. Thank God my husband was here because we loaded everything up in the car. So let's talk about what was it, what I made. Oh, here's some pictures of the actual top of the table. We had baskets that I put the crostinis in and the crackers because I used all 12 of the containers. So for those of you who don't know, when Andrew and I built this, we designed it, we bought the kind that were all connected in one, there's two major like buffet trays. So there are two trays that sit in big holes, and then the six pieces go. So one of the things I will say this, I did not bring down the domed cover that opens and closes. And I did that because I thought, well, we're not going to be outside. I'll just use the lids. Well, the lids ended up getting in the way. And to be honest with you, I wish I had brought the dome cover down instead. And
Yeah.
because we had to move all the lids out of the way when we got busy, so I didn't even bother with them. And so in the
Yeah.
end, luckily, we were moving food fast enough that I wasn't worried about anything, you know. In fact, we checked the temperature in there and we were very happy because the temperature, so what's the buffet tray, what do you call that pan? The buffet pan at the bottom.
It's a large hotel pan that goes like
Yeah,
it's like the size of a chafing dish with that you would
yeah,
put the water in.
yeah,
And then sixth pans, that's what they're called because six pans go into the tray,
the trays.
into
Yeah.
that bottom tray. So you put your ice or whatever it is you're using to cool your product in that
Hmm.
bottom tray. And I guess we
Right.
should show some better pictures of that at some point. But to me,
Yeah,
this
well, in
makes
this
more
case,
sense because everything's keeping everything cold. I know we've talked about
right.
this before, but when you keep them separate and you do separate little things, they're separate cutouts, then you're only keeping that one thing cold. In this case, all six pans are keeping each other cold. You have a better
Yes.
chance of it staying cold for longer with that many items staying cold, if that
Right.
makes
And
sense.
and and honestly, that's what we did. We took all the so Andrea originally had bought the little square freezer packs that were only like, how
They're
big?
little
Like three
tiny.
by
Yeah.
two. They weren't
Yeah.
very big and they were handy because we just layered them down at the bottom of the thing. And
Yeah.
the freezer packs that actually came with these, because it did come when we bought them with long skinny freezer things that were maybe about, I don't know, 10 by 12 or something.
Mhm.
And we ended up using those in the cooler, which was nice because we had the
Yeah. Those
cooler
are
on the
big.
sides,
Mhm.
right? So those slipped in there and we were able to, store everything and get everything over there. So anyway, it worked out great. We checked the temperature, but we were moving the food pretty quickly, so I wasn't overly concerned about it.
No,
But we did check it,
that's
and it was consistently down in the mid 40s, mid to low
perfect.
40s, which is really what you want. You want it at least 41 for those of you who don't know. But at the same time, you can keep this kind of stuff out for a couple, what is it, 4 hours? But
I
I
think it's
wouldn't have
two
done that.
hours. That's what
Yeah.
they tell you, but you don't want to give the
No,
customers like warm, melty
cheese.
cheese. Gross.
No, you
So,
don't.
or
You don't
dried
at
out
all.
cheese. So,
Right. So if you're looking at the video, or if you're looking at the video, you can see the top of the table that had everything on it. We had baskets for the dry stuff because we used all of the cold sections that we needed for the fruits and the vegetables, and obviously the skewers that we made. So I'm
mhm.
scrolling down here, and here's another version of it. All right, so I'm going to keep scrolling, and so then I also did, which I honestly I've been telling you guys all that I've been obsessed with cake piping, flour piping on. And I'm going to show you some pictures of it here. But I did make a dessert table as part of this. And so I made little mini cupcakes that were piped with flowers. I got close-ups here. I'll show you here in a bit. And I also made a sugar-free version, which I will tell you was a real pain in the ass. A sugar-free version of coconut macaroons. And because you need sugar to have things get sticky, it was not actually that easy to do. I don't even want to, you may never ever want to do what I did because I wanted to do this. I would probably suggest if you're not a baker, I mean, I had a lot of patience the couple of days beforehand doing this because I'm piping and it's still friggin' hot outside and I'm trying different types of icing. And then this happened and I had to make three batches of which I wanted to make just meringues. And I was telling Andrea, I said, I bought the eggs in the container, the egg whites, which was a mistake. Those didn't work. And some sort of chemical process occurred
Yeah.
when I put in, I could not figure it out. I mean, I couldn't figure it out. I could not get this eggs to stay. As soon as I put in, which I thought it was the food, not food coloring, the food flavoring, because I was doing almond in one. One was almond and the other one was cranberry, vanilla. And I felt like every time I was putting that in, it was hitting me. Well, it turns out it was the stevia did not go well with the egg whites. It
Yeah.
totally deflated. Now I'm learning, right? Some of you on here probably already know, Patty, you're an idiot. You should have known this. Well, I didn't know. And it took me forever to figure it out. Well, it was definitely that. So I switched over to Splenda, dry baking Splenda that I had, and it worked better. But still, the stickiness to try to keep your macaroon together, it was challenging. So I had to just pile it up and hope for the best. And they actually turned out great, and people loved them. So they were gluten free as well as sugar free. So the people loved them. And you look at the table, I also decorated it up because they wanted it a little bit more formal. So I had actually got lucky and went over to where was I at? I was at Michael's and I picked up some, oh no, it was actually Walmart. They were selling some Halloween, I just have some garland here that I actually ran lights and I had some stuff from one of my kids' weddings that we had candles inside. It turned out good, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people love that part. And you can see my son and his wife there as we were getting set up. And I was feeling really good about it. And we were in a nice location, so I couldn't complain. And then you can see here we are kind of, yay, we're all set up. And then the people started coming and you can see the people lining up. It was a rush and then it wasn't a rush and then it was a rush. So whenever they were making announcements, because they had a guide, he was down there making announcements telling people, hey, we got the live auction and then people were walking around and so it got busy and that was great. And Haley helped out a ton. I appreciate what they did. And both of them, Derek and Haley helped out a ton. So, what was the skewers, right? So, Andrew and I had created like salami roses for the last event, and I learned how to do those pretty good because I was in charge while you were doing on something else. I don't know what you were doing,
I
but
don't know what I was
um,
doing.
so
Multiples.
these salami roses were only two pieces of the aged Italian salami that you get at. I'm going to have a grocery list and everything for you all. So if you get into the group, you'll get access to all of this. So go get to the group if you're listening to us somewhere and haven't got in there. Again, that group was Charcuterie and Cottage Biz Success. And I'm just going to give it to you in there. But so what I did on the first skewer was we just used a simple kind of a long toothpick and I just rolled up salami rows and cubed like a half an inch by half an inch-ish size cubes of cheddar. So that was it, just that and cheddar on the one skewer. Okay, so that was that one, and then the next one, I figured there were going to be people that did not want to eat pork because we know that
Hmm.
happens, and so
Hmm.
or any kind of beef. So I did another version with a roasted turkey skewer, and actually I loved those. Those were really tasty. So I did the exact same thing, only I did cheddar and turkey. So we had that one. And then I did another one where we had this ham that we had from the previous event, and Andrea sent her slicer with her over. She sent her slicer down. Thank you very much for that. And so I ended up doing a two red grapes on the ends, a piece of ham, and a piece of this was a last minute call, a piece of melon. I just got some cantaloupe. The only thing was, I will say, when I got home, I was freaking out because I didn't have a lot of time to go back to the store to do the melon thing, and I was freaking out that the melon might not have been ripe. And thank God it
Yeah.
was ripe.
Mhm.
But in fact, it was a little bit too ripe, even though it didn't look it from the outside. But I will say that I was able to make 100 skewers out of about a melon. And I'm going to write down how many slices I got out of each melon. So that was kind of give you a handle on how, how it worked. But I had two melons and I think I used one and a half of the melons. I didn't use them both full. So, but I made, they're kind of sliced, thin slice. Now, the problem with those is that they started getting runny and watery pretty quickly
Mhm.
because the juice was coming out of the melon, but it made it through the event. But, any leftovers, it was kind of getting sketchy, you know. Um, so that was good. So we did that and people loved that. And then this actually was my favorite. I pulled this one right out of my rear end because I really was like, what am I going to do with these cucumbers? I bought English cucumbers and I love English cucumbers, but I really didn't want to just leave them in the thing and just throw them in there. So I cut them up and in slices and I threw on pepperoni and another piece of cheddar cheese. So we had pepperoni, which was two pieces, the English cucumber, and then another block of the cheddar cheese. Now, I will say that I did think about like getting Gouda or something like that, and then I totally forgot about it, and I never did get it. And luckily, they didn't call me out on it because it was on a contract. But I did get mozzarella, so that was extra. So I did buy little mozzarella balls that were snack size mozzarellas and tomato. So now we're at the cherry tomato. And I went in to look to see what the cost of getting like basil or even mint, which I had in the yard, but I ended up just buying a package of arugula and folding that up and sticking it between a cherry tomato and a ball of mozzarella. And those
Mhm.
people love those. And those are great with the you know with the drizzle, right? So
Mhm.
that was skewer number, let's see, that was skewer number five. So we had five, six skewers. So, okay, so we're at six. Oh, let's see, no, it was five. Yeah, the sixth skewer was the brie. So I go to Costco Business Center, no friggin' brie to be found. And I don't
That's
know what
weird.
it is. I know. I looked everywhere. And then Mike got home, my husband, he's like, well, it says it's here. I'm like, I couldn't find it. So we had to stop at Walmart on the way home, and I had to buy the little 6 ouncers.
Mm.
I think they were the 6 ounce rings.
Yeah,
And then I,
they.
I totally thought, well, I'm going to have to cut these in 8 pieces. But it turns out I cut them into 16 and I didn't want them sticking together because I knew Andrea was worried about that the last event. So I just went ahead and stick those on a skewer with a tomato to keep them separated. And it actually
Mhm.
worked out really well. And they're still really fresh and I'm still eating those right now because we had some left over. I actually bought too many. I bought 10 of those little puppies because I thought I was gonna, and it turns out I only used six of them for the 100 skewers that I made. So that was kind of overkill, but we'll have them for Thanksgiving and Christmas, so we're good. But anyway, so when I think about what I overbought, I bought too much salami, and I should have known better because I knew we didn't need that much the last time. And then, but again, that's the stuff I can throw in the freezer, so I don't feel so bad. And this cheese will last. And I bought too much of the brie for the most part. And then I was like, all right, I got to get some olives, but I don't want to be digging in there and crushing these olives up. So I went to Walmart and I bought, let me make this bigger. I did not want to buy a 10 pound jug of they only had one kind of major Kalamata over at the Costco Business Center. So I ended up going to Walmart and picking up a small, well, regular sized little bottle of the pitted Kalamatas, a jar of, and this was all at Walmart, a jar of sweet gherkins, little ones that by the way, I sliced in half long ways, and
Mhm.
also a jar of stuffed manzanita,
Manzanita.
yeah, green olives. So they were in hindsight, I could have bought some that were stuffed with cheese, but I was too cheap. So I just bought these standard, green
Mhm.
olives. And so I put one of each on one, I put one of those each on the skewer. And so there were three, four. So take that back. I put two of the green ones because I had a lot of those on the ends. And then I did the gherkin and then I did the kalamata. And I had plenty for that. So I had enough just to get by and we had a little left over and not everybody likes olives. So I knew I didn't have to go crazy with those, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to the French bread crostini. So I did buy mixed crackers, which were water crackers, and but I also decided I'd make these crostinis, and I was half thinking about making the bread. I'm like, I am getting way too out of hand trying to bake here at the house. So I had to go to a couple different stores because I didn't find what I needed. But anyway, find long, skinny French bread, baguette and I cut those up. And I think I wrote down how many slices I got off of that somewhere. You'll see it in the notes, but because I'm going to give you, like I said, I'm going to give you the notes. But I'm trying to see. By the way, I got 33 slices of English cucumbers off of one cucumber. So I was counting them all because I was crazy nuts. Um, and the baguettes. What did I do? Oh, the baguettes from Walmart. I got 50 crostinis cut at about a quarter inch, I would say, and I threw them on a pan and I sprinkled it with olive oil. And then I gave it a touch of I had kosher and sea salt, and I believe it was kosher salt I sprinkled on them
Mm-hmm.
and I baked them for not very long, 10 minutes maybe, and 375 or 400. I can't remember what I baked them at, but didn't take long. Just keep an eye on them. I'm notorious for burning bread when they go in the oven, so I had to really keep a close eye on it. But then they were a little bit soft when I took them out, but then they hardened up overnight and they were great. So the people loved those. So those only cost me $1.97 a loaf, so that was pretty cheap. I thought it was pretty good. Now, I tried to buy them pre-made at Walmart, but they were selling their big version and they were too big and they were all broken, crumbly. And I'm like, I'm not messing with that. So anyway, as I scrolling down, I'm showing you the different crackers. I got the cars. I only needed one box. I bought three. That was a mistake. I probably could take some of these back. But the cars table water crackers assortment. And I also bought a box, which I actually love these Crunch Master nut cracker, multigrain crackers that are gluten free. So we didn't throw those on unless somebody asked for those. So those were kind of under the counter. We didn't really, we didn't give them to them
Mm-hmm.
unless they asked, which there wasn't that many, but we didn't want to not have them. So we had that. So we had those Krispies. And then one bag of apricots from Costco, one bag of Kirkland salty mixed nuts. Didn't go through both bags. We gave handfuls as people were coming through because not everybody wanted those either. And then the veggies and berries, we had blueberries. I had set up a whole nother thing of green grapes. I cut up, sliced up green pepper, and we had little baby carrots and also celery. So we had that on the tray. So we had a full, and it was really terrible. I was putting this together, and I didn't even count how many containers I was going to need or going to fill up. And it worked out exactly perfect. And I thought, this is a sign. I figured it out. I didn't even count up. I need this many cold sections. I didn't do that, which wasn't very good. But when I got over there, I had brought all these extra. I learned from my sister. She's there every basket that you have, throw in the car because you just don't know if you're going to need them. And thank God because I had baskets for everything. So that worked
Yeah,
out good.
and I'll say that sometimes it can turn into overkill, but the reality is I very rarely do the same setup for any event. And I don't know why that is. I try to be consistent, in
Yeah.
terms of what you're serving because, people are seeing you at other events and you don't want to confuse them.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I just get there and I'm like, you know what? Because I think what you kind of want to roll with whatever the theme is of wherever you are. And
Hmm.
every event seems to be a little bit different, no matter how much I prepare for it. And I just never,
Yeah.
you know. So
You
if
could.
I bring things, I throw them in the car going, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll bring this because I may do that, you know.
Right.
You never know. So that's
Right.
why.
Well, I appreciated having the experience that you have brought to me because I just was planning ahead. Now, I will tell you that I cook many, many meals here at my house. I entertain a lot and we have a
Mhm.
lot of people. And so I wasn't overly freaked out over, having to do it, but I did not want to overbuy. I did a little bit and I did not want to not have enough either. So
Right.
that's always and I think that's scary for everybody, right?
It
We
is.
don't really know
Yeah, you
how
don't
much are
really
people
know.
going to eat?
And that's the
Yeah.
thing is that, another one of the biggest questions is how much should I buy and blah, 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 blah. This is where I always say, okay, we can guide you and, we have all sorts
Yeah.
of podcasts and calculators and this and that you can use to as a base. But at the
Hmm.
end of the day, until you go out and do it, you will
You just
never know.
you
You
won't
have to
know.
go out
And
and do it and make the mistakes and everything is different and the way you work it might be different than the way my sister works
right.
and so I can only guide you and give you a base to start with and therefore I know I
Right.
keep saying that, but you just got to go out and do it. That's the only way
And
it's ever going to
that's
happen.
there's so much to be said about that because even though we've talked about it, I've talked about it with you, I haven't personally done it and you weren't here. And so I was thankful in a way that you weren't here because I was able to
Mhm.
get through it and understand, all right, now I need to know. All right, so how long did it take me? Here's what I'll tell you is that I went shopping in one day. Thankfully, my husband was with me because we went out to Costco Business Center and we're at Walmart. And those were really the only two places we shopped, I think.
Perfect.
And yeah, and so I didn't buy anything on. I mean, we did have stuff like the containers and all that stuff. We had the little wooden forks that we already had, so we had those, and I had tongs. I had a lot of the stuff already, and napkins and those kind of things. I was not in charge of the liquid or any kind of drinks or anything, so that was good. The dessert thing was kind of extra time spent, but here's what I'll tell you. I got up in the morning the day before and I decided I was going to get all of the skewers done. And it took me only 4 hours to do all the skewers. And
Mm.
I, by myself, I was going to have my son come and he was busy. And then I thought, well, maybe Mike will help my husband. And I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to try to do this. It's only for 50 people. This isn't like, it's not like it's brain surgery. So I sat there and I listened to my business podcasts and rolled up, 500 skewers, I figured it was by the time I was said and done, even though I had, my plan was to have 100 skewers. Not, I didn't do 100 for all of them. Like I didn't do 100 for like the olives. I didn't do 100 for something else because I didn't have enough. I think I was short of turkey, honestly. I ended up buying some more turkey. But
Mhm.
anyway, and I didn't use all the turkey. So when I give you the list that I'm giving you, I'm not giving you the complete list of stuff that I bought because I did overbuy. So I'm really giving you as much as I can tell you that I bought. Now, the extra time spent with the dessert, I will tell you, unless you're really into it, I would not recommend it because it was I
Yeah.
mean, now here's what I did do though. I made chocolate cake in a box, but I doctored it up by putting in some sour cream. I used butter instead of oil. So there are things you can do, and I feel like I'm a much more comfortable baker than I am anything else. But my oven's got problems, so that's a whole discussion for a different day. But I did get some practice in, as you can see. If you, oh, I did thought I did a really good job on some
Yeah,
of
they
my
look great.
roses. Ain't they pretty? They turned out, but this was after I totally bombed the buttercream. I have no idea what happened, so I went back to my whipped cream. Totally bombed it. But anyway, you can see. So I put these on trays. I did go to the dollar store to pick up some extra trays. I really didn't need to, but I thought I need a few more, so I did. And there was the macaroons, and I bought this $1.50 thing at this little cake tray thing. So I bought a few trays, but that was pretty much it at the dollar store. Now, I'm not going to go through the list because I'm not done with it yet, but I am pricing everything out so I can tell you exactly how much I bought and what I believe it all is going to be. I spent about 4 hours on putting everything together. That's not counting obviously getting everything. I would say it was a good 8 hours after everything was said and done and packing up the car, getting down there. And unfortunately, the freeway going south was closed, of course.
Of course.
And we had to leave extra early to get down there, so we had to finagle our way down there, which sucked because they've been doing construction in Scottsdale for 100 years. I'm so over it. But anyway, my husband's driving, and I'm like, do not move, do not turn too hard, do not slam
Yeah,
the brakes on, because I just put these cakes
those
in. I was
cakes.
concerned about the cake. I didn't care about anything.
The
So he was
cakes
such a good
could go
sport.
down, and that's more power to you. You love doing that stuff. I hate doing that shit. So I
Yeah.
am really proud of you for doing that, and they look wonderful, but
Oh, I
I
know.
can't
Oh, I
handle
know.
cake. And I can do that. I can.
Yeah.
I've done that many, many times
Yeah.
in my world, but
I
there's a
could
reason why
understand
I
you.
hate it, and that's one of them is also transporting when you're catering off-site. You're
Yeah.
just like it stresses you out. I've
It's
seen cakes go
tedious.
down, and the bakers
Right.
that are bringing them into a wedding, and
Oh
they're
my
scrambling around trying to
God.
figure out what to do and fix it,
No.
and it's awful.
Yeah.
The
I
ultimate
would
fix
I
for anything is always to cover it up with like greens and flowers. Edible
Oh my
flowers. That
God.
was my answer to that. Every time something would go wrong with the stupid wedding cakes and stuff.
Well,
Or switch
honestly,
it.
I
Just do donuts like Patty's wedding.
that's what we did. Actually, yeah, that's funny because we did do Krispy Kremes, 14 dozen on our wedding. But
Yeah.
anyway, so all in all, I will tell you that I'm going to say I paid about $400 for the
Mhm.
food. Now, again, keep in mind the amount of time. So when you add that in, but let's do that. Let's say I'm paying myself $25 an hour, which I don't think is unreasonable. Let's go 25 times 8, which is $200. I mean, I should have got paid at least $200 for that, plus the 400 for the food that I paid, that I bought.
Right.
And then, all these little things, the little trays and all that didn't really add up to a lot because they're cheap, they were, and the napkins and that stuff. But when you add that in, plus, if you want to charge tax or whatever it is you got to do, for that, what else? Travel, add it up. But in the end, it was successful. And if
Yeah.
I can give anybody any advice, this was way less stress and work for really 2 days, say three cleaning up when I got home. That was kind of fun, not, but, and then getting everything back. But, moving the stuff around wasn't that much for that many people. Would I do this for more than, would I do the cart for, a couple hundred? Yeah, but you got to plan. I mean, you would have to plan and get some help probably, because I think even just to get 100 people, I would have had to make at least 100. My plan was to make 150 servings for had we had 100 people there, but
Yeah.
and that would have been obviously more time invested, and I would have had to charge, I charged what I charged, so I would have probably made less money by the end of the day because I had to pay more for stuff
Now,
on top of the fact of the time, right? So
yeah. Did you charge per person or did you charge
I
a
charged per
flat
person.
rate? Okay.
No,
So
no, I
there's a lot of
charged
people that do, and I've seen this before, where they do the per person charge and then they charge per hour or a flat fee for the cart to even be there because you have to man a cart. It's not like a
right,
tray, like you're doing a charcuterie tray for
right,
50 people or even a setting up for the table, and then leaving or whatever it is you do. I don't
right,
know how everybody's going to do things differently, but with a cart, you have to stay there. You have to have at
right.
least one person. From what I can understand, watching other people do it more regularly, because we are still learning. I'm not going to lie, and we're going to
Yeah,
be
we
very
are.
transparent. We're still learning about the cart thing.
Yeah,
So, as far as like trays and stuff, I can tell you guys all day long what to do with that. The cart is a whole nother beast, and it it's basically like bringing out, a buffet. And I like the way that you did have the buffet with the sweets on it, and then had like, so people that were waiting in line, they had things to do with themselves,
yeah,
so
right.
it was a nice setup the way that worked, and yeah, it was
Yeah,
very cool. But
yeah,
again, every event's going to be a little bit different. Don't ever think that it's just going to be slam dunk every time. They're always going to
yeah,
change, and the people that you're
yeah.
working for, they got all kinds of things going on in their heads, and
Demands. Yeah,
Yeah, lots of weird demands is a good call. And
maybe.
so you just
Yeah,
never know what you're going to get. You just got to be ready to make decisions on the fly. So I
right.
spent my
You
entire
know,
career doing.
right. And I feel like on the other hand, when we were negotiating what was going to go on the contract, they really were like, I don't know, what do you recommend? Well,
Right.
what's interesting is that they originally said to me, I'm going to turn this off. They originally said to me that they wanted to do a charcuterie table, like a big
Mm.
grazing table. And to be honest with you, that one actually scared the hell out of me by to do it by myself. And for 100 people, I was a little bit freaking out about that. And in the
Yeah.
end, I thought that was actually going to be more work. I felt like it was gonna have to make more without really, I don't know. I just felt like it was going to be more work in the end. I knew I was already somewhat comfortable with what was going on with this, so I
Right.
just talked them into doing the cart instead, and I think they were very happy with it. In fact, by the way, we got amazing feedback. They loved it. They
That's good.
absolutely loved it. Everybody that walked up, they loved it. And so I was glad about that. And I just felt real comfortable, once we got everything set up. And it didn't
Hmm.
take that long. We got down there with an hour and a half to get set up, which was another thing. And then the thing was only supposed to be 2 hours, but we ended up staying a little bit longer. And I didn't feel bad given, they had already paid me. So
Yeah.
that didn't
Right.
bother me. We stuck around there. We were supposed to be done at 5 and from 3 to 5, but we really didn't get out of there and start cleaning up till close to 6, which was totally fine.
Hmm.
I wasn't complaining. But yeah, but I'm with you because you don't know. Now, what I will say is that I was very happy now because one of the reasons I want to get this all down is that if I get another gig, I can say this is my preset, knowing how much it costs me, assuming prices don't go up. Hopefully they will go down, but this is my preset cart now. And for a private event, this is what you're going to get, and this is how it
Hmm.
works. And I can do trade outs from that point up or down, right? So if you don't want that many items or then, whatever. So if they want, but I decided to roll in my time into the price per head. That's what I did. Because I'm sure, I mean, realistically, if we were to sell these, we'd be selling for $15 a piece probably, right? So I charged 22
Right.
and that took up, that's how I looked at it. And I
Right.
and I, I didn't feel bad about it because that way you're kind of not nickel and diming them either. All I did was say the cart setup time, I charge them for cart setup time, going in and coming out. And that's what the extra, 22. So it was 2,200 plus another 150 for cart setup time. So it was like 2 hours setting up and an hour coming down or whatever I charged. So I,
Yeah.
wasn't bad. So
In the
yeah, it
end,
worked
you
out. The
didn't
only,
you
yeah,
didn't lose money. And that
no,
to me is the huge thing, because I just see so many people. It's painful to watch what they're doing, and that's why we're here. We're here to help you get through that the best you can. Again,
right.
we can guide you, but at the end of the day, you have to go out there and get that experience. Nothing will be perfect. Let me tell you
Yeah,
that. And when you have a good event like yours went, then that
yeah.
means
So now I
you
feel good
learned and you're
because I
good.
can go out and promote the cart. So that's really cool.
Mhm.
On a whole other note, yesterday I had a friend of mine, and this is something maybe we'll talk about this over the next few weeks. I had a friend of mine get a hold of me and say, "Hey, are you available on the 19th of December?" And I go, "Why?" She goes, "Because I want to have a virtual Christmas party with my colleagues all across the country, and we wanted to know if you would be open to teaching how to build a small charcuterie board that we would put you on Zoom." And I was like, ding, 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 ding. My head's spinning last night, going, "Oh my God, what a great idea!" And so
Yeah.
I started looking up to see if anyone's really doing like a virtual Christmas party or a virtual party or something like that. And you didn't even have to be virtual, you could just show up. But I hadn't ever thought about doing this virtually. And
Mhm.
so I was like, oh my gosh, between now and then, I could probably set this up and says, you want to learn, we're going to have party night on every Friday between now and December or whenever you want to do it. Or every Friday, we have a party night, get your friends together. So what she said was, she said, I wanted to give them a menu ahead of time and have everyone go to the store, tell them what they need to buy, and then they can build them while you're on camera with them. I'm like, what a smoking good idea. Now, I mean, I know I've seen people build them online before, but I didn't think it for a second about having a virtual party. I'm like, this is a really good idea.
Yeah.
And so you could charge per head. I mean, or
Well, the
however you want
people
to do it.
can take it slowly. They can ask you questions while it's happening.
Exactly.
They can have you slow down. How many times have we all watched a video of something and we have to like go backwards? Like, wait, what was that? What was that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this way it's live and, people can stop
Yeah.
you and whatever.
She was
Oh,
telling
that's
me that I said, how
good.
many people are you expecting? Because I was thinking initially, like, oh, how do you charge like just for one? Because it's just my time for 1 hour. But at the same
Right.
time, you could charge per head. She said like 25 people across the country. I'm like, wow, okay. Well, it's a good thing I'm used to being on camera because I could see that being a challenge for people that aren't like real
Yeah.
comfortable with that. But
Yeah.
if you feel like this is something you could do, I can help you with this part because I have all the tools and all of the, to set it up so that people know how to get on and when to come in anyway. So I'm going to talk with her tomorrow
Mhm.
and see what we can put together and I'll fill you in more. But I mean, you're getting ready for the holiday season. This might be a great way to make a few extra dollars and you only spend an hour or so online and make a lot of money. So I'm like,
Yeah.
holy mackerel, what a great idea. So I'm gonna think this one over a little bit. But anyway, put it on the list of things Patty's always thinking about, which can't stop. But anyway, so what did you think? You think I did all right, sis? You weren't here, but
Yeah,
you
no, I
said
think you did great. She was
yeah.
sending me for everybody. I was laying on the beach, but she was sending me pictures and she sent me some random picture because I did loan her my KitchenAid mixer. I've got a big one. And I loaned her that. I didn't see any pictures of the slicer, so everybody kept their fingers. That's good.
Yeah.
But she
Although I
sent me some
almost did
pictures of I don't know what was going on there, but some
I
pictures of
almost
icing or
contacted you.
something. The
I almost
macaroons
contacted
weren't
you.
working, and I was like, whip it up, whip it good.
It was so bad. It was so bad. I went through probably 2 dozen egg whites, trying to
Yeah.
get these stupid things to work. I'm like, I don't understand what is going on. This is just
Yeah.
totally going flat. It was all fluffy, and in the minute I'd put it together, it just deflated. Anyway, anyway,
The
it was
problem is
great.
sugar binds together and holds things together, and Splenda might, I don't know, you said it worked, but
Worked
definitely
better.
stevia is not going to, it's
It
not going to
deflated
hold
that. It just
yeah, it's not going
instantly,
to hold it. There's no binding thing there.
yeah.
So
But it wasn't even so much about that as it just deflated the eggs the second it hit. And I just like, but I was mixing it in at the same time
weird.
as mixing the flavor in. So anyway, the bakers in the world are probably laughing right now because they
Yeah, they
should have known.
probably are.
But hey, I'm
But
learning, just like you said, until you do it, you just don't know.
you don't.
But anyway, so that was my story, and I'm gonna put the everything and all the pricing and everything and what I paid and how much I made. It's kind of nice because I did make a nice round number, trying to stick to 100. So whatever if you want to use the menu, go in there and grab it. You could substitute out anything, but you get the idea of what I was doing, and I think it was so much better to have everything on skewers ahead of time. So even if you're doing like a public event, that is, like an outdoor market, I think, planning ahead with the skewers was not a bad idea. And the leftovers, we just brought home in our containers and we've been eating on them all week. So we didn't have a lot. I did give some out to some people too, but yeah.
So the other key to this is also, and I know I've mentioned this in many other podcasts, is the not running around all over the place looking
Yeah.
for the right product. You stuck with your guns, developed your product, or you developed what you sold around what you knew you wanted to get. Granted, you went to the new Costco, which, who knows what's going on with that, but you only hit two stores to make it all happen. And
Yeah.
that's what drives me. So the boats and things like that, just so everyone knows, we did already have them. I know Patty said that, but we also I ordered them from Amazon because that was the best place to get
Yeah.
them.
Hmm.
So that doesn't require you driving all over town to go get them. You don't have to go to a restaurant store for those.
Right.
The little picks also came from there. So, just keep that in
Yeah.
mind. All that stuff takes time. It takes your time, and it all needs to be billed, and you need to get paid for that. So the fact that you only
Right.
went to two stores, and granted, you went to the new one, which is like somewhere else, but you
Yeah.
could have, you knew
I
what
want
you
I
needed.
wanted to
Now
check it
you
out, and
know. Now you know.
yeah, I'm not even sure that it was necessary because I bought, one of the probably big things that I bought over there was, first of all, I was freezing in that big cooler. They had a big cooler room. I mean, I
Like
was
the
literally
restaurant Depot
freezing.
does. Yeah,
Oh my
I know
God, it
it's
was, yeah,
great.
and I was in there with shorts and a little skinny hoodie on. It was freezing, so I didn't like that. But I bought that big block of cheddar cheese, which I'm gonna have a picture of. It was 5 pounds of cheddar, which I
Yeah,
thought I'm
that's
gonna
one of the big
save. Yeah, one of
guys.
the
Yeah.
big long ones. And I'm sure I saved because it wasn't that bad, but it was, and actually cutting it up wasn't that bad. I thought that was going to be a nightmare, and it really wasn't once you figured out how many pieces you were going to cut. But other than that, I could have gone to regular Costco. Because I don't
Right.
think they sell that big block and maybe they do.
No,
I
they
mean, but
don't. No, they
yeah,
don't. But they sell like the blocks. They sell like the 2 pound or whatever it is block, which would have been fine for your 50 some
would have
people.
been.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have
No,
been.
you
And
wouldn't have needed
because
that.
I had to buy two of those. I was worried. I bought two of those, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I didn't. I because I really, and I did use just a little of the second one.
Yeah.
And I do need to get that cut up and put in the freezer because I don't want it going bad on me. But yeah, so and that's why, because I was a little
What you live and
overkill. I
learn.
didn't need all that. And so I would say regular Costco for 100 people was not a problem. Could I have gone to Aldi and done all that BS? No, I could have, but
No,
I just didn't feel
Aldi.
like I needed to.
No, but Aldi also they sell their portions are smaller. So
Yeah,
your price per pound, even though you're going to get a better price per pound than you would if you went to like Safeway or
yeah,
Fry's or Kroger or whatever you guys got, you're going to get a better price than that, but you will so you don't, the Aldi is great for smaller, let's say smaller events. If you only
hmm
have to buy a certain amount and you can't store it in your fridge at home and you maybe need to prep on site, which is what I encourage people to do, that if you can't do that, then you go to Aldi and you buy their smaller packages. Don't go buy a big old package that you can't use. So
hmm
that's what I mean by you have to test it, because you have to go out there and just do it, because
yeah,
you won't know what your best procedure is to deliver the food to people unless you start doing it. And you're going to make mistakes, and you got to be
yeah.
okay with that. It's all learning, you know.
Okay. Well,
So,
live and learn, and that's what I
that's right.
did. Anyway, so that's it for this week. What am I working on now? I got all kinds of other things, but yeah, we're really excited to be able to roll into the holiday season. Andrew's getting ready to do a bunch of markets, right? You're going out
Yeah,
to some
I'm
more. Speaking of
doing,
markets, but you
yeah.
do other stuff, so it makes it easier at
Right.
the markets.
This is my time of year for craft markets. I do
Hmm.
a bunch of dry food items and things like that. So I've been making dry soup mixes all day.
Hey,
So
let's
yeah.
talk about that next week because some people might want to do that. I think we need
Yeah,
to
it
get
falls
into the
under the
nitty
cottage
gritty.
license. It falls under
Yeah,
the cottage license. I'm not going to give away all my secrets because I've worked hard on my recipes, but
yeah.
it's a great seller at the markets. I sell a lot of different things that are non-food related, but inspired by food, like earrings and things. But the soups, once I started doing that, which was purely accidental, oh my God, they just took off. So
Yeah.
they're the mainstay of my table at any craft event. Now I'm doing huge events now where I was doing small ones, but anyways,
Hmm.
yeah, so now I'm gearing up for my big craft season. Just signed up for a new one
Awesome.
in Scottsdale today.
Ooh, where's it at?
Mercantile Market. It is, I forget now, but it's down, I think Indian School somewhere.
Oh,
So downtown Scottsdale. So
oh,
yeah,
yay.
I think it's
When is it? I got
200.
to get on the
I'm
calendar.
sorry,
Yeah.
it's at It's at the Civic Center,
Oh,
and they
sweet.
do it once a month, and 200 vendors and God knows how many food trucks and stuff. So I'm pretty excited about this one.
Wow, yay. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Do you know the date? I want to get it on here. I know it's coming up.
January, no, not right in front of
Oh,
me.
it's after the holiday. Okay.
It's after the
Yeah.
holidays. Yeah. I'm only doing one event before the holiday. And
Hmm.
then I'm lining them up after that
Yeah.
because in here in our neck of the woods, well, Patty's neck of the woods, that's when the tourist season starts, and that's when you
Yeah.
want to get out there and sell, sell, sell.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. All right, sister. Well, thanks for listening to me yak on and for helping out while you were from afar.
Well,
And
I was doing just,
I was having a little mini heart attack here and there.
well,
I
I
was
was
doing
sitting on
all
the
right.
beach with my glass of wine.
Oh, shut up, please. All right. Well, I
All
hope you all
right.
having a good one. Make sure and like and share and tell the world about our podcast. If you love what we're doing, let us know. We'd love to hear about it because
Yeah.
we'll do more. What else can we talk about? We'll figure it all out, but let us know. So, all right, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.